Hello there, everyone. Welcome to Nightmare Narratives. I am your storyteller, and I'm here to guide you tonight. I know many of you use these videos to drift off to sleep, so before we begin, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. I'm always curious, where are you watching from, and what time is it in your part of the world? Now, find your cozy spot and relax. My name is Emma Rodriguez, and I've been running from the truth for 3 years now. I'm a park ranger in the Superior National Forest in Minnesota, 28 years old, and I should be living my best life. Instead, I wake up every morning wishing I hadn't. The trees here are tall and dark, and in winter, they look like they're reaching down to grab you. Perfect place for someone like me who doesn't want to be found. People think I became a ranger because I love nature. That's not true. I became a ranger because I needed to punish myself every single day. You see, I killed my sister Maria 3 years ago. Not with a gun or a knife, with something much worse. My own stupid choices. I was driving drunk on a February night, just like this one. The roads were icy, and I thought I was fine. I thought I could handle it. Maria was in the passenger seat, telling me to slow down, telling me to pull over. She was always the smart one. I didn't listen. The car hit a patch of ice and spun out. We crashed into a tree so hard that the whole front end crumpled like paper. Maria died instantly. At least, that's what the doctors told me. I walked away with just a few cuts and bruises. Here's the worst part. I lied to the police. I told them Maria was driving. I switched seats while she was still there, cold and still. I did it to save my nursing career, to save myself. What kind of person does that to their own sister? Every day since then, I carry Maria's engagement ring in my pocket. She was supposed to marry her boyfriend Carlos that spring. They had picked out flowers and a dress and everything. Now, there's just this ring that gets heavier in my pocket every day. I moved up here right after the funeral, told everyone I needed a fresh start. Really, I just needed to be somewhere cold and dangerous. Somewhere where maybe something would happen to me, too. The other rangers think I'm brave because I always volunteer for the worst jobs. The rescues in bad weather, the searches in dangerous areas. They don't know I'm just hoping one day I won't come back. This morning started like every other morning. I woke up at 5 a.m. in my small cabin, made coffee, looked at Maria's picture on my kitchen table and said, "I'm sorry," like I do every single day. She's smiling in that picture, wearing her favorite yellow sweater, the one she was wearing when she died. Then my radio crackled to life. 3 ice fishermen hadn't come back yesterday. Their families were worried. My boss wanted me to go look for them. I should have said no. The weather was getting bad, and there was a storm coming. But that little voice in my head, the one that sounds like Maria, told me to go. Maybe this would be the day I finally got what I deserved. I put on my heavy coat and boots, grabbed my pack with water, first aid supplies, and my radio. Before I left, I touched Maria's picture one more time. "I'll see you soon," I whispered. The snow was falling hard as I drove to the lake. Big fat flakes that stuck to my windshield and made everything look white and clean. It reminded me of the sheet they put over Maria at the hospital. Everything white and peaceful, like death was just sleeping. I parked at the boat launch and started walking. The lake was frozen solid, had been for weeks. Perfect for ice fishing if you knew what you were doing. These 3 guys, Tom, Bill, and Jake, they'd been coming out here for years. They knew the ice. They knew the weather. So where were they? My boots made crunching sounds in the snow as I walked. Crunch, crunch, crunch. It sounded like a clock ticking, counting down to something. The wind was picking up, making the pine trees sway and creak. They looked like giant people bending over to look at me. I was about a mile from shore when I saw the first thing that made my stomach drop. A white rabbit was sitting in the snow, just staring at me. It didn't run when I got close. It just sat there with its black eyes watching me. Then, just as I reached for my camera, it disappeared. Not ran away, disappeared, like it was never there. Maria used to have a white rabbit when we were kids. She called it Snowball. I shook my head and kept walking. The storm clouds were getting darker, and I could feel that heavy feeling in the air that comes before something bad happens. I'd felt it before. 3 years ago, right before I decided to drive home drunk. The air smelled wrong, too. Not like clean snow and pine trees. It smelled like something old and hungry, something that had been waiting. I was 25 miles from town now. If something happened to me out here, no one would find me until spring. The thought should have scared me. Instead, it felt like coming home. I found their fishing hole 20 minutes later. The ice was dark where they had drilled through. Usually a good fishing hole looks clean and fresh. This one looked wrong. The water underneath was black, and there were dark stains around the edges. Not oil or dirt, something else. Blood. I knelt down and touched it with my glove. It was frozen solid, but I could tell it was fresh, maybe a day old. My heart started beating faster. "Hello?" I called out. "Tom? Bill? Jake?" Nothing. Just the wind making that lonely sound through the trees. I pulled out my radio. "Base, this is Emma. I found the fishing site. There's blood here." Static crackled back. Then my supervisor's voice. "Emma, are you sure? Maybe it's just fish blood." I looked closer. There was too much of it, and it was spread out in a weird pattern around the hole, almost like something had been dragged. No, this is different. Something bad happened here. "Stay put. I'm sending backup." But I couldn't stay put. These men might still be alive somewhere. They might need help right now. I started following tracks in the snow. Boot prints led away from the fishing hole toward the thick woods. The prints looked normal at first. 3 sets of boots, size 10 or 11, men walking together. But after about 50 yards, something changed. 2 sets of prints just stopped, like the men had vanished into thin air. The 3rd set kept going, but they looked different now, deeper, wider, like whoever was making them had gotten heavier, or like something else was making them. I followed the strange tracks deeper into the woods. The snow was getting thicker and the wind was getting louder. Every few steps, I'd stop and listen. Sometimes I thought I heard voices calling for help, but when I called back, nobody answered. That's when I saw the first piece of fishing gear. A tackle box was lying open in the snow. The lures and hooks were scattered everywhere, like someone had dropped it while running. I picked up a few pieces. Tom's name was written on the box in black marker. 100 yards further, I found a winter coat hanging from a tree branch. It was Jake's. I recognized it from when I'd seen him in town. But why would he take off his coat in this cold? It was below 0 out here. Without a coat, he'd freeze to death in minutes. The coat was clean, no blood, no tears. It looked like he had carefully taken it off and hung it up, but that didn't make sense. I kept walking. The tracks were getting stranger now. They weren't going in a straight line anymore. They wandered back and forth, like whoever was making them was confused or hurt. Then I found Bill's hat. It was stuck on a low branch, right at eye level, like someone had walked into it on purpose. The hat was fine. No damage at all, but there was something white inside it. Hair, white hair, like an old person's. But Bill had brown hair. I'd seen him just last week at the grocery store. I held the hair up to the light. It was coarse and thick, not like human hair at all, more like animal fur. "What the hell?" I whispered. That's when I heard the singing. It was faint at first, coming from deeper in the woods. A woman's voice, singing something soft and sad. I couldn't make out the words, but the tune was familiar. It sounded like a lullaby my mom used to sing to me and Maria when we were little. "Hello?" I called. "Is someone there?" The singing stopped. I waited, holding my breath. The forest was completely quiet now. No wind, no birds, no sounds at all. It was like the whole world was holding its breath with me. Then I heard it again, the singing, but this time I could hear the words. "Sleep now, little sister. Sleep now, don't cry. The snow will cover everything. Close your tired eyes." My blood went cold. Those were the exact words. The lullaby Mom used to sing? But how could someone out here know that song? I started walking toward the voice, even though every part of me was screaming to run the other way. The tracks in the snow were leading in the same direction as the singing. The trees were getting thicker now, blocking out most of the gray winter light. I had to use my flashlight to see the ground. The beam shook because my hands were shaking. That's when I saw something that made me stop dead. There was a tree up ahead with something carved into the bark. I got closer and pointed my light at it. It was a heart with two names inside it, Emma plus Maria. But that was impossible. Maria and I had never been to this forest together. We'd never carved anything like this. This tree was hundreds of miles from where we grew up. I reached out and touched the carving. The bark felt warm under my glove, like something alive was inside the tree. The singing started again. Closer now, much closer. Sleep now, little sister. Sleep now. Don't cry. I spun around, shining my flashlight in every direction. The beam caught something moving between the trees. Something pale and tall. "Who's there?" I shouted. The singing stopped, but I could feel eyes watching me from the darkness. I grabbed my radio with shaking hands. "Base, this is Emma. I need that backup now. Something's not right out here." Static. Then a voice came through, but it wasn't my supervisor. It was Maria's voice. "Emma? Emma, where are you? I'm so cold. I've been waiting for you." I dropped the radio in the snow. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely pick it up again. When I did, there was only static. I pressed the talk button over and over. "Hello? Base? Anyone? Nothing." I told myself it was just the storm messing with the radio signals. Sometimes voices from other places come through during bad weather. It happens all the time. It wasn't really Maria. It couldn't be. Maria was dead. I saw her body. I went to her funeral. But that voice, it sounded exactly like her. Even the way she said my name, with that little worry in it. Like when we were kids and she thought I was in trouble. I put the radio back on my belt and kept walking. The tracks were still there in the snow, leading deeper into the woods. I had to find those fishermen. That was my job. That's why I was here. The singing started again. This time it was coming from up ahead, maybe 50 yards away. I could see a clearing through the trees. The voice was clearer now, and I could hear every word of that old lullaby. But there was something wrong with it. The tune was right, but the voice sounded hungry, like whoever was singing was thinking about food while they sang. I reached the edge of the clearing and stopped. There was someone standing in the middle of it. It was a woman in a white dress. Her back was to me, and her long black hair hung down to her waist. She was thin, too thin. I could see every bone in her back through the dress. She was barefoot in the snow. "Hello?" I called out. "Are you okay? Do you need help?" The singing stopped. The woman turned around slowly. I couldn't see her face. Where her face should be, there was just shadow, but I could feel her looking at me. "Emma," she said in Maria's voice. "You came." I took a step back. "Who are you? How do you know my name? You know who I am." She started walking toward me. Her feet didn't make any sound in the snow. "You've been calling my name every night for 3 years." My heart was beating so fast I thought it might stop. This wasn't real. This couldn't be real. "You're not Maria," I said. "Maria is dead." The woman laughed. It sounded like wind through broken glass. "Am I? Are you sure about that, sister?" She was getting closer. I could smell something now. Something old and rotten, like meat left out too long. "Stay back," I said. I reached for the pepper spray on my belt. "I'm warning you. You left me, Emma. You left me in that cold car and lied about it. Do you remember?" I did remember. I remembered everything. The crash, the silence afterward, Maria slumped over the steering wheel, not moving, blood on her forehead, and me, checking to see if anyone saw us before I switched our seats. "I was scared," I whispered. "I didn't know what to do." "You knew exactly what to do. You saved yourself and left me to die." The woman was only 10 feet away now. I still couldn't see her face, but I could see her hands. They were gray and too long, with fingernails like claws. "But Maria died right away," I said. "The doctors said she didn't suffer." The woman stopped walking. She tilted her head to one side, like a dog hearing a strange sound. "Did I, Emma? Did I really die right away?" Something cold went through my stomach. "What do you mean?" "I was still breathing when you switched our seats. I could hear you moving around. I tried to call your name, but I couldn't speak. I was so cold, Emma. So cold and so scared." "No," I said. "That's not true. You were already gone. I died alone while you were unconscious. I spent my last minutes wondering why my sister would do this to me. I wanted to run, but my feet wouldn't move. This thing, whatever it was, it knew things. Things I'd never told anyone. Things I tried not to think about. "What do you want?" I asked. The woman smiled. I couldn't see her face, but I could hear the smile in her voice. "I want you to understand what it feels like to be hungry, Emma. Really hungry. The way I've been hungry for 3 years. I don't understand." "You will." She pointed behind me. "Look." I turned around. There, hanging from tree branches like Christmas ornaments, were Tom, Bill, and Jake. They were alive, but just barely. Their eyes were open and they were trying to speak, but only small sounds came out. They looked thin, much thinner than when I'd seen them last week, like something had been feeding on them slowly. "They've been keeping me company," the woman said, "but they're almost empty now. I need someone new." I grabbed my radio and pressed the emergency button. "Mayday! Mayday! This is Ranger Rodriguez. I need help now." Maria's voice came through the radio again. "There's no one coming, Emma. It's just you and me. The way it should have been 3 years ago." I looked back at the woman. She was closer now, close enough that I should have been able to see her face, but there was still just darkness where her face should be. "You have a choice," she said. "You can run away and leave these men to die, just like you left me, or you can stay and take their place." The 3 fishermen made soft crying sounds from the trees. "Please," I whispered, "don't hurt them. They didn't do anything wrong." "Neither did I, Emma, but that didn't stop you." The woman reached out with one of her long gray hands. I could see now that her fingers were covered in something dark and wet. "Choose," she said. "Run away like a coward, or stay and feed me like a good sister should." I looked at Tom, Bill, and Jake hanging from the trees. They were looking at me with hope in their eyes, like they thought I could save them. Just like Maria must have looked at me in that car, hoping I would help her instead of helping myself. I took a deep breath and made my choice. "I'll stay," I said. "Let them go, and I'll take their place." The woman laughed again, that horrible sound like breaking glass. "Oh, Emma, you still don't understand, do you?" "Understand what?" "This isn't about them. This was never about them. Look closer." I looked back at the trees. The 3 men were still hanging there, but something was different. Their faces were wrong. They looked like Tom, Bill, and Jake, but their eyes were empty, like dolls. "They're not real," the woman said. "They never were. Just like I'm not real." My legs felt weak. "What are you talking about? You created me, Emma. 3 years of guilt and shame and saying sorry to my picture every morning. 3 years of wishing you could talk to me one more time. You made me out of your own thoughts." I shook my head. "That's impossible." "Is it? You're a smart woman. You know about the mind, about what guilt can do to people. You were an EMT. You've seen people have breakdowns." The forest around us started to look different, less solid, like it was made of fog. "The missing fishermen are real," she continued, "but they're not here. They went home yesterday. Their families just forgot to call and tell your boss. Simple mistake." I checked my radio. Now it was working fine. I called base. "Rodriguez here. Any word on those fishermen?" "Oh, Emma. Yeah, they came back last night. Sorry, forgot to radio you. You can head home now." I stared at the radio. Then I looked back at the woman. "You drove out here alone," she said. "You walked into these woods alone. You've been talking to yourself this whole time." The clearing was getting smaller, or maybe I was getting bigger. Everything felt strange and dizzy. "I'm having a breakdown," I said quietly. "Yes, finally. You've been having it for 3 years, actually. Little by little. Every day you said sorry to my picture. Every dangerous job you took hoping something bad would happen. Every night you dreamed about me forgiving you." I sat down in the snow. It was cold, but it felt real. More real than anything else right now. "But the lullaby," I said. "The carving on the tree, those were real. You carved that tree yourself 20 minutes ago. You don't remember because your mind is protecting you. And the lullaby? You were singing it. You've been singing it this whole time." I thought back. Had I been singing? Maybe I had been, without knowing it. The blood at the fishing hole? Old blood from fish. You know that. You just didn't want to see it. Everything was starting to make sense now. The white rabbit that disappeared? I'd probably just imagined it. The strange tracks in the snow? Maybe just animal tracks that I'd read wrong because I wanted them to be something scary. Why now? I asked. Why is this happening now? The woman sat down across from me in the snow. I still couldn't see her face, but her voice was gentler now. Because today is February 15th, Emma, 3 years exactly since the accident. I'd forgotten. I'd been so focused on finding the fisherman that I'd forgotten what day it was. And because you finally reached your breaking point, you can't carry this guilt anymore. It's killing you, just like you wanted it to. So what happens now? That's up to you. You can keep carrying this guilt until it destroys you completely, or you can finally understand the truth. What truth? The woman reached out and touched my hand. Her fingers felt warm now, not cold and gray. I was never angry at you, Emma, but you died because of me. I died because of ice on the road and bad luck. Yes, you were drinking. Yes, that was wrong. But Emma, I was awake when you switched our seats. My heart stopped. What? I was hurt badly, but I was awake. I couldn't move or speak, but I could hear everything. I knew what you were doing. Then you know I'm a terrible person. No, Emma. I know you were scared. I know you panicked. And I know that in those last few minutes before I died, I wasn't thinking about being angry. I was thinking about how much I loved you, how I hoped you would be okay. Tears were running down my face now, freezing before they hit the snow. I wanted to tell you it was okay, she continued. I wanted to tell you to live your life and be happy, but I couldn't speak. So I've been trying to visit your dreams instead. The dreams where you forgive me? Yes. But you keep pushing those dreams away because you don't think you deserve forgiveness. The woman stood up. As she did, I could finally see her face. It was Mario's face, but peaceful. Not angry or hungry or scary. Just sad for me. The real question isn't whether I forgive you, Emma. It's whether you can forgive yourself. I looked around the clearing. The fake fishermen were gone. The trees looked normal again. It was just me and Maria, or whatever part of my mind looked like Maria. I don't know how, I said. Let's start by living. Really living. Not just waiting to die. Get help. Talk to someone. Stop punishing yourself with dangerous jobs and loneliness. But if I stop feeling guilty, it means I'm forgetting you? Maria smiled. The same smile from the picture on my kitchen table. Emma, I don't want you to forget me. I want you to remember me with love, not pain. Remember the good times we had. Remember how we took care of each other. Remember that I loved you, and I still do. The forest was getting lighter. The storm clouds were breaking up. Will I see you again? I asked. Every time you look in the mirror and choose to be kind to yourself. Every time you help someone without putting yourself in danger. Every time you live the life I wanted you to have. Maria started to fade away like she was made of mist. I have to go now, Emma, but remember, this guilt you've been carrying, it was never mine. It was always yours. And you're the only one who can let it go. I sat alone in the snow for a long time after Maria disappeared. The forest was quiet now. Normal quiet, not scary quiet. I could hear birds singing somewhere in the distance. The storm had passed, and sunlight was coming through the trees. I pulled out my phone and looked at the time. I'd been out here for 4 hours. It felt like days. My supervisor's voice crackled through the radio. Emma, you okay out there? Haven't heard from you in a while. I'm fine, I said, heading back now. But I wasn't fine. Not really. I was sitting in the snow in the middle of nowhere, talking to hallucinations. That's not something fine people do. I stood up and started walking back toward my truck. Every step felt heavy, but not because of the snow. I was tired. Tired of carrying all this guilt around like a backpack full of rocks. When I got to my truck, I sat in the driver's seat for a few minutes before starting the engine. I looked at myself in the rearview mirror. I looked older than 28. My eyes had dark circles under them. My face was thin and pale. I looked like someone who hadn't been taking care of herself. Okay, Emma, I said to my reflection. What now? I could keep doing what I'd been doing. Go home to my empty cabin, say sorry to Maria's picture, take the most dangerous jobs and hope something bad happened to me. Wait to die, or I could try something different. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my contacts until I found Dr. Sarah Chen. She was a counselor in town who helped people with trauma. I'd gotten her number 2 years ago, but never called. My finger hovered over her name. If I called her, I'd have to tell someone the truth. All of it. The drinking, the crash, the lying, the guilt, the fact that I'd been having hallucinations in the woods. If I called her, I'd have to admit I needed help. Maria wanted me to live, I whispered. I pressed the call button. Dr. Chen's office, this is Janet. Hi, I said, my voice was shaking. My name is Emma Rodriguez. I think I need to talk to someone. I've been having some problems. Of course, Emma. Dr. Chen has an opening tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Would that work for you? Tomorrow seemed so far away, but it also seemed possible. Yes, I said. I'll be there. I hung up and started the truck. As I drove back toward town, I thought about what I would tell Dr. Chen. The truth, probably. All of it, even the embarrassing parts. Especially the embarrassing parts. When I got home, I walked straight to my kitchen table where Maria's picture sat next to a pile of unopened mail. I picked up the picture and looked at her smiling face. I called a doctor, I told her. Someone who helps people like me. People who are sad and scared and don't know how to stop hurting. The picture didn't answer, of course. It was just a picture. But somehow, Maria's smile looked different now. Less sad. More proud. I'm going to try to get better, I said. Not because I don't love you, but because I do. Because you wanted me to be happy. I set the picture down and opened the first piece of mail. It was a letter from Carlos, Maria's boyfriend, the one she was supposed to marry. Dear Emma, it said, I know we haven't talked much since the funeral, but I wanted you to know that I'm getting married next month, to someone new. I hope that's okay. I also wanted to tell you something. The day before the accident, Maria called me. She was worried about you. She said you'd been drinking more and working too much. She asked me to help her figure out how to talk to you about it. She loved you so much, Emma. She was worried because she could see you were in pain about something. She wanted to help. I know you blame yourself for what happened, but Maria never would have wanted that. She would have wanted you to be happy and healthy and surrounded by people who love you. I hope you can find your way back to that. Your friend, Carlos. I read the letter 3 times. Then I folded it up and put it in my pocket, next to Maria's engagement ring. 2 things I would carry with me, but differently now, not as punishment, but as reminders of love. That night, I made dinner for the first time in months. Real dinner, not just crackers and beer. I called my mom, who I hadn't talked to since Christmas. I told her I'd been having a hard time and that I'd made an appointment to talk to someone about it. She cried a little. I'm so proud of you, mija, she said. Maria would be proud too. Before bed, I looked at Maria's picture one more time. I'm going to try, I told her. I'm going to try to live the life you wanted me to have. Not just for you, but for me too. I turned off the light and went to sleep. For the first time in 3 years, I didn't dream about the accident. I dreamed about spring, about flowers growing through snow, about new things beginning. When I woke up the next morning, I was still sad. I was still sorry about what happened, but I wasn't drowning anymore. I was learning how to swim. The next afternoon, I sat in Dr. Chen's office and told her everything. About the crash, about the guilt, about yesterday in the woods, about how I'd been trying to die slowly for 3 years. She listened without judging me. Then she said the words I'd been afraid to hear. Emma, you've been through something terrible, but you're not a terrible person. You're a person who made a mistake and has been punishing herself ever since. We can work on this together. You don't have to carry this alone anymore. It wasn't magic. I didn't suddenly feel better. Healing doesn't work that way. But it was a start. 6 months later, I was still a park ranger. But I was also seeing Dr. Chen twice a week. I was taking better care of myself. I'd made some friends in town. I still missed Maria every day. But I thought about her with love now, not just pain. And sometimes, on quiet days in the forest, I could swear I heard her singing that old lullaby. Not hungry or angry or sad. It's peaceful. Just happy that her sister was finally learning how to live again. My name is Danny Burke, and I'm 42 years old. I work as a ranger here in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, near the Ohio River. Most people think being a ranger is a peaceful job. They think I spend my days watching birds and picking up trash. They're wrong. Tonight, like every night, I'm walking through the fog that rises from the river. It's thick and cold and it makes everything look like ghosts. The old oak trees creak in the wind, and the sound reminds me of gates opening and closing at the cemetery. I've heard that sound too many times. A heron calls out across the water. It's a lonely sound that cuts through the fog like a knife. When I hear it, I think of the trumpet that played at my son's funeral. The same sad notes that said goodbye to Tommy forever. For a moment, standing here in the mist, I feel peace. The world is quiet and beautiful. Then I remember that Tommy will never see this place. He will never hear the heron call or feel the cool fog on his face. The peace breaks apart like glass. There are strange lights in the sky tonight. Red lights that dance and move like they're alive. They remind me of the flares we used in Korea, the ones that lit up the night sky over Seoul. But those flares are from another war, another time. These lights are something else. The fog gets thicker, hiding everything around me. It's like being wrapped in a blanket of lies. I know about lies. I told plenty of them to my boy. This whole area feels lonely, just like my house does now. Empty rooms, empty chairs, empty spaces where laughter used to be. I became a ranger to get away from all that emptiness, but it follows me everywhere. A family of raccoons runs past me, their little ones following behind. They're together, safe, whole. I watch them disappear into the darkness, and my chest hurts. Some families stay together, some don't. The sky is turning dark purple now, like a bruise. It reminds me of the bruise around the medal they gave me for Tommy. The medal that came with a folded flag and words about honor and sacrifice. Words that don't bring back your son. The air feels heavy tonight, like something big is coming. It makes my skin tingle and my heart beat faster. I've felt this feeling before, right before bad things happen, right before everything changes. I reach into my jacket and touch the 3 small bottles I always carry. 3 shots of whiskey, 1 for each night since I got the news about Tommy. 3 shots to help me sleep. 3 shots to help me forget. 3 shots to help me remember why I'm still here when he's not. The red lights in the sky are getting brighter now. They're moving in patterns, like they're trying to tell me something. But I don't want to listen. I've heard enough bad news to last a lifetime. Tommy used to love nights like this when he was little. He'd ask me to tell him stories about brave men and heroes. I told him those stories and I believed every word. I taught him to be brave, to stand up for what's right, to never back down from a fight. I taught him to be a man. I taught him to die. The fog wraps around me tighter now, and somewhere in the distance, I hear a sound that makes my blood turn cold. It's not the heron this time. It's something else. Something that shouldn't exist in this world. But it does exist, and it's calling my name. I stop walking and listen. The sound comes again, soft but clear. It might be the wind, but I know it's not. When you spend enough nights alone with your guilt, you learn to hear things others can't. I think about Tommy when he was 7 years old. He had scraped his knee falling off his bike and he came running to me with tears in his eyes. I picked him up and sat him on the porch steps. "Men don't cry, Tommy," I told him, wiping his face with my handkerchief. "Burke men are tough. We don't give up and we don't show fear." He stopped crying right away. He wanted to make me proud, even then. That's the problem with being a father. Your words become their truth. Tommy was always trying to be brave for me. When he was 10 and afraid of the dark, he never said so. When he was 12 and the bigger kids picked on him at school, he fought back even when he was outnumbered. When he was 16 and wanted to quit the football team because the coach was mean, I told him, "Burke men don't quit." So he stayed. He got hurt, but he stayed. The war in Korea was getting bad when Tommy turned 18. Boys were being drafted left and right. Some families were scared. Some boys tried to find ways out. Not my Tommy. He came to me on a Tuesday morning in March. I was drinking my coffee and reading the paper. He sat down across from me at the kitchen table, the same table where I'd taught him to do his homework, where we'd eaten 1,000 meals together. "Dad," he said, "I want to join up. I want to go to Korea." I should have said no. I should have told him to wait, to let them draft him if they had to. I should have hugged him and told him I was scared of losing him. Instead, I smiled and shook his hand. "That's my boy," I said. "I'm proud of you, son." Berkman served their country. He signed up the next day. The recruiter was so happy to get a volunteer, especially one as strong and smart as Tommy. 3 months later, he was on a ship heading for Korea. I wrote him letters every week. I told him about the weather, about his mother's garden, about the neighbors. But mostly, I told him to be brave. "Remember what I taught you," I wrote in my last letter. "Be brave, son. Berkmen never surrender. Make me proud." He wrote back just once after that. The letter came on a Thursday. It was short. "Don't worry about me, Dad. I won't let you down. I'll be brave just like you taught me." 2 weeks later, the men in uniform came to my door. They told me Tommy died charging a machine gun nest. They said he saved 3 other soldiers by drawing the enemy fire. They said he was brave. They said he was a hero. They gave me a medal and a flag, and they're sorry for my loss. What they didn't tell me was that those 3 soldiers he saved, they all died in the next battle anyway. What they didn't tell me was that the machine gun nest was something they could have gone around. What they didn't tell me was that my son died because I taught him that being brave was more important than staying alive. I keep his last letter in my wallet. Every night I take it out and read it. Every night I drink 3 shots of whiskey and talk to his picture on my dresser. "Was it worth it, Tommy?" I ask him. "Was being brave worth being dead?" He never answers, but sometimes I think I hear him in the wind. The fog is getting thicker now, and the red lights are moving closer. I can hear something walking through the trees, something big. The footsteps are soft but heavy, like something that doesn't want to be heard but can't help being there. I touch Tommy's letter in my wallet and keep walking. Whatever's out there, I'm not running. Berkmen don't run, even when they should. I walk deeper into the woods, following the old trail I know by heart. My flashlight cuts through the fog, but it doesn't help much. The beam just makes everything look stranger, like I'm walking through a dream. Then I see them. Feathers, big ones, scattered on the ground like someone dropped them on purpose. But these aren't normal feathers. They're glowing with a soft red light, the same color as those lights in the sky. I kneel down and pick one up. It's warm to the touch, and it tingles against my skin like it's alive. I've been a ranger for 15 years, and I've never seen anything like this. The feather is bigger than any bird around here should have, almost as long as my hand. I shine my flashlight around and find more of them. They're not scattered random like they should be. They're arranged in patterns, like letters. I follow them with my light, reading what they spell out. Tommy. My heart stops. I drop the feather and step back. But there's more. Numbers this time, glowing just as bright. His serial number, the same one they put on his dog tags. This isn't real, I whisper to myself, but my voice sounds small and scared in the fog. I pick up my radio to call it in, but when I turn it on, I don't hear the usual static. Instead, I hear voices, men shouting in the distance, the sound of gunfire, and something that makes my blood freeze. Explosions. The same sounds I remember from Korea, from the war I fought before Tommy was even born. But there's something else, a voice I know better than my own. "Dad, help me." It's Tommy's voice, clear as if he was standing right next to me. But Tommy's been dead for 2 years. I turn the radio up louder and I hear the whole thing. The battle where my son died, the machine gun fire, the shouting, the moment when Tommy decided to be brave just like his dad taught him. And then his scream, the scream I never heard but always imagined, the sound he made when the bullets found him. I turn the radio off so fast I almost drop it. My hands are shaking now and I can't make them stop. The smell hits me next. Gunpowder and smoke, mixed with something else. Something old and wild, like wet earth and storm clouds. It doesn't belong in these woods, but it's here anyway. I keep walking because I don't know what else to do. The ranger station is miles away, and my truck is parked even further. But I need to understand what's happening here. That's when I remember the stories. For the past year, people in Point Pleasant have been talking about strange things. Accidents that happened right after someone saw weird lights. Car crashes where the drivers swore they saw red eyes watching from the trees. a bridge collapse that killed 2 people, and the old man who said he saw something with wings the night before. Most folks thought it was just talk, small-town gossip, but what if it wasn't? What if something has been trying to warn people, and they just didn't listen? I think about Tommy's unit. The reports said they walked right into an ambush. No scouts, no warning, just 20 young men walking into a trap. But what if there was a warning? What if something tried to tell them what was coming and they ignored it? What if Tommy saw red lights in the sky over Korea and decided to be brave instead of careful? The fog is so thick now I can barely see my own feet, but I can hear something moving through the trees. Something big enough to break branches, but quiet enough that it doesn't want to be found. Not yet. I stop walking and listen. The footsteps stop too. Whatever it is, it's watching me, waiting for something. I think about all the accidents in town, the pattern I never noticed before. They all happen to people who ignored the warnings, people who saw the lights and kept driving, people who heard the sounds and stayed anyway, people like Tommy, who chose to be brave when they should have been smart. I know you're there, I say to the darkness. My voice doesn't shake this time. I know you tried to warn him. The footsteps start again, closer now, and for the first time in 2 years, I don't feel completely alone. Something is coming through the fog, something that's been waiting for me to understand, something that knew Tommy before he died. The footsteps stop right in front of me, but I can't see anything yet. The fog is too thick, like a wall between me and whatever's out there. But I can feel it watching me, with eyes I can't see. Then the fog starts to move, not like wind is pushing it, but like something is pulling it apart with invisible hands. Slowly, piece by piece, the mist clears away, and I see it. 7 feet tall, standing perfectly still between 2 oak trees, wings folded against its back like a giant bird, but wrong somehow. The wings are too big, too dark, and they don't look like they belong on anything that should exist. But it's the eyes that make my breath catch in my throat. 2 red lights burning in the darkness where a face should be, not like flashlights or car headlights. These glow from the inside, like coals in a fire that never goes out. They look right at me, and I know they see everything. Every mistake I ever made, every word I wish I could take back, every night I've spent talking to Tommy's picture. Danny Burke, it says, and its voice sounds like wind through dry leaves. I've been waiting for you. I should run. Every smart part of my brain is screaming at me to turn around and get out of these woods as fast as I can. But I don't move. I can't move. You tried to warn him, I say. It's not a question. I know it's true. The creature takes a step closer, and its wings spread slightly. They're even bigger than I thought, wide enough to block out the sky. I warned them all, it says. Your son, his friends, the whole unit. I showed them the red lights 3 nights before the battle. I called to them in voices they knew. I dropped feathers in their path. My heart is beating so hard I can feel it in my ears. But they didn't listen. Your son saw me, the creature says. And suddenly the space between us fills with pictures. Not on a screen or in a book, but floating in the air like smoke that shows the truth. I see Tommy in his army uniform, walking patrol in the Korean mountains. I see red lights dancing in the sky above him. I see him stop and stare, just like I did tonight. You heard me calling his name, the creature says. He felt the warning in his bones, but he remembered your words. The pictures change, and now I'm watching my son make a choice. I can see his face, young and scared, but trying to be brave. I can almost hear him thinking, Dad said Berkmen don't run. Dad said we never surrender. He chose courage over caution, the creature says, just like you taught him. And the pictures show me the rest. Tommy walking into the ambush because he was too proud to turn back. Tommy charging the machine gun nest because retreat felt like failure. Tommy dying because he was more afraid of disappointing his father than of dying. I don't cause disasters, Danny Burke, the creature says. I only show people what's coming. I give them a choice. Listen to the warning or follow their pride. I'm crying now, and I don't care. He was just a boy. He was your boy, it says. And you taught him that being brave was more important than being alive. The red eyes get brighter, and suddenly I can see more than just Tommy's death. I can see the future, pictures of things that haven't happened yet but will. The bridge, the silver bridge that connects Point Pleasant to Ohio. I see it on a cold December day 4 years from now. I see cars driving across it, people going to work, kids coming home from school, and I see it fall. 46 people will die when the bridge collapses. I can see their faces, hear their names. I watch it happen like a movie, but this movie hasn't been made yet. You could warn them, the creature says. I can give you that power, the ability to see what's coming and choose who lives and who dies. More pictures fill the air. I see myself standing on street corners, telling people not to drive across the bridge that day. I see some of them listening, turning around, going home safe, but I also see the others, the ones who take a different route because the bridge is closed, the school bus that takes the long way around and gets hit by a truck, 12 children who die because I saved the 46 on the bridge. Every life you save costs another life somewhere else, the creature says. Every choice creates new choices. Every warning changes the future, but it doesn't stop the dying. I understand now. This thing isn't offering me a gift, it's offering me a burden. Why me? I ask. The red eyes seem to soften, just a little. Because you know what it feels like to lose someone to your own advice. Because you understand that good intentions can kill just as surely as bad ones. Because you're already carrying the weight of one death, and that makes you strong enough to carry more. I think about Tommy, about the letter in my wallet, about the 3 shots of whiskey I drink every night. I think about all the parents in Point Pleasant who will lose their children in the years to come, and how some of those deaths might be prevented. But I also think about the children who will die because of my warnings, and their parents who will never understand why. What happens if I say no? I ask. Then fate runs its course, the creature says. The bridge falls. The people die. And somewhere else, another parent who lost a child to their own teaching will see red eyes in the sky. The fog starts to roll back in, but the red eyes stay bright and clear. Choose Danny Burke, it says. Save some and doom others, or let them all face their fate without interference. I close my eyes and think about Tommy's last letter, about being brave, about making choices that you have to live with forever. When I open my eyes, I know what I have to do. I'll do it, I tell the creature. I'll carry the burden. The red eyes blink once, slow and sad. Are you sure, Danny Burke? Once you accept this gift, you cannot give it back. You will see death coming, and you will have to choose who lives and who dies, until the day you die yourself. I think about Tommy one more time, about all the things I should have told him, instead of teaching him to be brave, about all the fathers who will make the same mistakes I did. I'm sure, I say. The creature reaches out with one long, dark hand and touches my forehead. The touch is cold and warm at the same time, like ice and fire mixed together. Pictures flood my mind, more than I can count. Deaths that haven't happened yet, accidents waiting to occur, people walking toward their final moments without knowing it. And I see the silver bridge again, clear as day. December 15th, 1967, 5:04 in the evening. Rush hour traffic heading home for the weekend. 4 years, the creature says. You have 4 years to learn how to carry this weight. Use them wisely. The fog rolls back in, thick and heavy. When it clears, the creature is gone. I'm alone in the woods, with my new burden and the glowing feathers at my feet. I walk home in the dark, but I'm not the same man who went into those woods tonight. The next 4 years pass like a nightmare I can't wake up from. I see a car accident coming and warn the driver to take a different route. He listens, stays home that day, lives. But the drunk driver who would have hit him crashes into a family van instead. 3 people die because I saved one. I see a factory fire and get the workers to evacuate early. 47 people go home safe to their families. But the fire spreads to the apartment building next door because the firemen are busy with the empty factory. 8 people burn to death in their sleep. I see a flood coming and warn people to move to higher ground. Most of them listen. The flood comes, but only kills 12 people instead of 30. But those 12 families hate me for not warning them too. not knowing that I tried to warn everyone and some just didn't listen. Every life I save costs other lives. Every choice I make creates new tragedies. I stop drinking whiskey because I need to stay sharp, to think clearly about who lives and who dies. But I start talking to Tommy's picture more, asking him if this is what he wanted, if this makes up for teaching him wrong. He never answers, but sometimes I think I see him in the red lights that follow me everywhere now. December 15th, 1967, comes like it was always going to come. I'm standing at the Point Pleasant end of the Silver Bridge at 4:30 in the afternoon. I have signs, a megaphone, anything I can think of to warn people. But it's rush hour, and people are tired and want to get home. Some listen to me. A teacher with her 2 kids turns around and takes the long way. A businessman in a fancy car gives me a dirty look, but drives to the other bridge. A young couple with a baby decides to wait until tomorrow to visit their families. 46 people turn around because of my warnings. 46 people who will go home tonight and hug their families and never know how close they came to dying. But not everyone listens. At 5:04, just like in my vision, the Silver Bridge collapses into the Ohio River. The people who didn't believe me, who thought I was just a crazy old man with signs, they fall with it. I watch it happen from the shore, and I don't feel victory or relief. I just feel tired. The next morning, I read in the newspaper about the school bus accident. The bus that took the long way around because the bridge was closed. The 12 children who died when it got hit by a truck on the winding mountain road. The creature appears to me that night, standing in my backyard like it's been waiting there all along. Your work is done, Danny Burke, it says. You've learned what your son learned. Sometimes the bravest choice is accepting that you can't save everyone. I nod, too tired to speak. Tommy is proud of you, it says. He understands now what you were trying to teach him, and he forgives you for teaching it wrong. That night, I go to bed and don't wake up. The doctor says it was my heart, but I know better. Hearts don't just stop beating. Sometimes they just get too full of other people's pain to keep going. The next morning, a woman named Sarah Chen sees red lights in the sky over Point Pleasant. She lost her son in Vietnam because she taught him that dying for your country was the most honorable thing a man could do. She doesn't know it yet, but she's about to have a choice to make. The creature is patient. It has all the time in the world, and there are always more parents who need to learn the same hard lesson. Sometimes the people we love die because of the things we teach them, and sometimes, if we're unlucky enough, we get a chance to make up for it. But making up for it doesn't mean the pain goes away. It just means you learn to carry more of it, for people you'll never meet, in hopes that somehow, somewhere, it all adds up to something that makes sense. I never found out if it does, but I kept trying until the end, just like Tommy would have wanted, just like I'd taught him to do. My name is Mike Torres, and I used to be a firefighter. Now, I'm a ranger in the Pine Barrens of New Jersey, but I'm not here to protect the forest. I'm here, waiting for it to kill me. The sandy ground crunches under my boots like broken glass. Every step sounds like fire eating wood, like the sound my crew made when they screamed. I stop walking and listen to the quiet. But it's never really quiet here. The trees whisper things I don't want to hear. I'm 36 years old, and I've been dead inside for 3 years. That's when I killed my friends. Today I'm looking for dead cows. Farmers keep calling about their animals dying in the woods. They find them burned, but there's no fire damage anywhere else. No burned trees, no ash on the ground, just dead animals with perfect burn marks on their skin. I pull out my radio and check in with the station. Static fills the air, then a voice comes through. For just a second, it sounds like Tommy Martinez, my old crew chief, but Tommy's been dead for 3 years, because of me. This is Ranger Torres, I say into the radio. Checking the south area near Chatsworth. Copy that, Mike, comes the reply. It's just Sarah from dispatch, not Tommy. Tommy will never answer a radio again. I keep walking deeper into the woods. The pine trees grow thick here, so close together that they block out most of the sun. It feels like walking through a green tunnel. The air smells like pine needles and something else, something that reminds me of that day. A blue light flickers between the trees ahead of me. I freeze. Blue flames mean gas fires. Gas fires mean controlled burns. Controlled burns mean dead friends, if you're stupid like me. But there's no gas line out here, no equipment, no reason for blue flames. I walk toward the light, my heart beating fast. My hand goes to my gun, but I know it won't help. You can't shoot guilt. You can't kill the past. The light disappears when I get close, but I smell it now, that mix of burning gas and something worse, something that makes my stomach turn and my eyes water. I find the first dead cow 50 feet from where I saw the light. It's lying on its side in a perfect circle of burned ground. The cow looks normal except for the burn marks. They cover its whole body in a pattern that looks almost like letters. I take out my camera and start taking pictures. The flash goes off, bright white in the green darkness. For just a second, the light shows me something else. Footprints in the sand around the cow. But they're not from any animal I know. They look like hoof prints, but wrong. Too big, too deep, and there are only two of them. Like whatever made them was walking on just its back legs. My radio crackles to life again. This time I hear voices I know are dead. "Chief, the wind's picking up," says a voice that sounds just like Danny Reeves. "Should we pull back?" "Negative," comes another voice. My voice from 3 years ago. "We can handle it. Stay in position." I turn off the radio fast, my hands shaking, but I can still hear them talking. The voices come from the trees now, from the wind, from inside my own head. "Mike, why didn't you let us run?" "That's Jimmy Santos. He was only 22, had a baby daughter he never got to see grow up." "The fire's moving too fast, Chief," says Carlos Mendez. "We need to get out of here now." "Hold your positions," says my voice. The voice of the man who killed them all. "That's an order." I cover my ears, but it doesn't help. The voices keep coming. They always keep coming. I look back at the dead cow and take more pictures. The burn marks are clearer now. They spell out a name. Tommy. The cow next to it has burns that spell Danny, then Jimmy, then Karis, then Alex. All my dead friends' names, burned into cattle in the middle of the pine barrens. I start running. I don't care where, I just run. Branches hit my face and tear my uniform. My boots slip on the sandy ground. But I can't run from what I did. I can't run from the blue flames that follow me everywhere I go. I can't run from the fact that I belong here in these dark woods, waiting for something to finally make me pay for what I've done. I stop running when my legs give out. I lean against a pine tree, breathing hard. The bark feels rough against my back. My uniform is torn from the branches. There's blood on my hands from where I fell. But the blood reminds me of that day, March 15th, 3 years ago, the day I became a killer. It was supposed to be a simple controlled burn. We do them every spring to clear out dead brush. It keeps the big fires from starting later. Tommy Martinez was our crew chief then. He taught me everything about fighting fires. He trusted me. I was the one who checked the weather that morning. The report said light winds 5 miles per hour. Perfect for a controlled burn. But I only looked at one report. I didn't check the updated forecast. The new forecast showed wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour by noon. Tommy asked me if I was sure about the weather. I said yes. I lied because I was lazy, because I didn't want to wait another week, because I thought I knew better than the weather service. We started the burn at 10 in the morning. Everything went perfect for the first hour. The fire stayed where we wanted it. It burned slow and clean. Tommy smiled at me and said I did good work. Then the wind picked up. I felt it first on my face, a warm push that made the flames dance. Danny Reeves was closest to the fire line. He looked at me with worried eyes. "Chief," he said into his radio, "wind's getting stronger. Should we pull back?" I should have said yes. Any smart fire chief would have said yes. But I was proud. I didn't want to admit I made a mistake. I didn't want the other crews to think I couldn't handle a simple burn. "Negative," I said. "We can handle it. Stay in position." The wind hit us 10 minutes later like a wall. 35-mile-per-hour gusts that turned our controlled burn into a monster. The fire jumped our fire break in seconds. It ran through the dry grass faster than a man could run. "Get out," Tommy screamed into his radio. "Everyone out now." But it was too late. The fire cut off their escape route. Danny, Jimmy, Carlos, Alex, and Tommy were trapped in a circle of flames. I was on the other side of the fire break, safe. They were dying because of my choice. I tried to get to them. I ran into the smoke until I couldn't breathe, but the heat pushed me back. I could hear them screaming for help, but I couldn't reach them. The last thing I heard was Tommy's voice on the radio. "Tell our families we love them," he said. Then nothing but static. It took 6 hours to put out the fire. We found their bodies that night. The heat had been so strong that their fire gear melted. Tommy was found covering Jimmy Santos with his own body, trying to protect the youngest guy on our crew. I told the investigators that the weather equipment failed. I showed them the old forecast, not the updated one. I said there was no way to know the wind would change. I let them blame the weather service instead of me. They gave me a medal for trying to save my crew. They called me a hero at the funeral. Tommy's wife hugged me and thanked me for being such a good friend to her husband. I wanted to die right there. I wanted to tell her the truth, but I was too much of a coward. That's why I'm here in the Pine Barrens now, hoping something will finally punish me for what I did, hoping the forest will take me like it should have taken me that day. My radio starts talking again. This time, it's Alex Morrison's voice. "Mike, we trusted you," he says. "We died because we trusted you." I throw the radio against a tree. It breaks into pieces, but I can still hear the voices. They come from everywhere now, from the wind in the trees, from the sand under my feet, from my own guilty heart. I know I'm losing my mind. Normal people don't hear dead friends talking to them. Normal people don't see blue flames where there's no fire. Normal people don't find their dead crew's names burned into cattle. But I stopped being normal the day I killed my friends. Now I'm something else. Something that belongs in these dark woods with whatever is killing those animals. Something that deserves whatever is coming for me. I sit in the sand for a long time after I break the radio. The pieces are scattered around me like my life. Plastic and metal that used to work, now just junk. Like me. The sun is getting lower. Soon it will be dark, and I don't want to be in these woods when night comes. But I also don't want to go home. Home means sitting alone with my thoughts. Home means looking at the pictures of my dead friends that I keep on my kitchen table. I get up and brush the sand off my pants. I need to finish checking the area. There might be more dead animals. The farmers are counting on me to figure out what's killing their cattle. I walk deeper into the trees. The pine needles are thick on the ground here. They make a soft carpet that hides the sound of my footsteps. Everything is quiet, except for the wind moving through the branches above me. Then I smell it again, that burning smell, but stronger now. I follow the smell to a small clearing. What I find there makes me stop breathing. 7 dead cows are arranged in a perfect circle. Each one has burn marks on its body, but these aren't random burns. Each cow has letters burned into its side. Clear letters that spell out words. The first cow says, "Why?" The second cow says, "Did." The third cow says, "You." The fourth cow says, "Let." The fifth cow says, the sixth cow says, "Die." The seventh cow says, "Mike." "Why did you let us die, Mike?" My legs give out. I fall to my knees in the sand. This isn't in my head. This is real. Someone, or something, is talking to me through dead cattle. I try to think of normal reasons for this. Maybe someone knows about what I did. Maybe they're trying to scare me. Maybe it's one of the other firefighters who figured out I lied about the weather report. But who would kill 7 cows just to send me a message? And how would they burn letters into the animals without burning anything else? I look around the clearing. The ground under each cow is burned black. But the grass between the cows is green and healthy. The fire that killed these animals only burned exactly where it needed to burn. That's not how real fire works. Real fire spreads. Real fire burns everything it touches. Real fire doesn't write messages. I take out my backup camera and start taking pictures. My hands shake so bad I can barely hold it steady. The flash goes off again and again, lighting up the dead animals and their burned messages. Then I see something that makes my blood turn cold. In the center of the circle, burned into the ground, is a perfect hoofprint. But it's huge, bigger than any horse or cow, and it's burned so deep into the sand that it looks like it was made by something very heavy or something very hot. I kneel down next to the hoofprint and take a picture of it. When the flash goes off, I see something else. More hoofprints leading away from the circle. They go deeper into the woods, toward the darkest part of the pine barrens. I know I should leave. I should go back to my truck and drive away. I should call the police and let them deal with this. This is way beyond dead cattle now. This is something I don't understand. But I follow the hoofprints anyway. They lead me down a path I've never seen before. The trees get thicker as I walk. The branches hang so low I have to duck under them. It feels like the forest is trying to keep me out, or keep something else in. The hoofprints stop at a big oak tree. The tree is old, maybe 100 years old. Its trunk is so wide that 3 people holding hands couldn't reach around it. Burned into the bark of the tree are more words. Fresh burns that still smell like smoke. Come closer, Mike. I step back. My heart is beating so fast it hurts. Whatever is doing this knows my name. It knows what I did, and it wants me to come closer. The smart thing would be to run, get back to my truck and never come back to these woods. Quit my job and move far away. Maybe then the voices would stop, but I can't run anymore. I've been running for 3 years and it hasn't helped. The guilt follows me everywhere. The voices follow me everywhere. Maybe it's time to face whatever's waiting for me. I walk up to the tree and put my hand on the burned words. The bark is still warm. As soon as I touch it, I hear them again. All 5 voices speaking together. We've been waiting for you, Mike, they say. We've been waiting for you to come home. The voices stop, but I can still feel them watching me. The tree under my hand gets warmer. The burned letters start to glow with a soft blue light. I pull my hand back and step away from the tree. The light gets brighter. It spreads from the letters to the whole trunk, then to the branches, then to the leaves. The entire tree is glowing blue now, like it's on fire. But there's no heat, no smoke, just that cold blue light that reminds me of gas flames. Something moves in the branches above me, something big. I look up and see eyes, yellow eyes like a cat's, but bigger, much bigger. They're watching me from the darkness, between the glowing leaves. Hello, Mike, says a voice from the tree. It sounds like all 5 of my dead friends talking at once. We need to talk. The thing in the tree jumps down. It lands right in front of me without making a sound. I've heard stories about the Jersey Devil my whole life. Everyone in South Jersey has. Most people think it's just a story to scare kids, a monster with a horse's head and bat wings that lives in the pine barrens. But the thing standing in front of me is real. It's tall, maybe 8 feet. It has the head of a horse, but wrong. The teeth are too sharp. The eyes are too smart. Wings like a giant bat fold against its back. Its hands look human except for the long claws. And its feet are hooves, big enough to make the prints I found. Don't be afraid, it says in my friends' voices. I'm not here to hurt you. I can't move. I can't speak. I just stare at this thing that shouldn't exist. You're wondering if you're crazy, it says. You're not. I'm real. Your friends are real. Their voices are real. And what I'm about to tell you is real too. The creature sits down in front of me. Even sitting, it's taller than me. My name doesn't matter, it says. People call me the Jersey Devil. I've been living in these woods for 300 years. But I'm not a devil, Mike. I'm a guard. A guard? I finally find my voice. These woods are special, it says. There's something under the ground here. Something that's been sleeping for a very long time. Something that would end the world if it ever woke up. The creature points at the ground with one clawed finger. 20 feet down, there's a crack in the earth. A crack that goes all the way down to hell. Real hell, Mike. Not the hell people talk about in church. The place where things live that make me look like a pet dog. I want to laugh. This is crazy. But I've seen too much today to doubt anything anymore. For 300 years I've kept that crack sealed, the creature continues. I kill anyone who gets too close. I kill anyone who might dig too deep. I kill anyone who brings fire to these woods. Fire. My blood turns cold. The fire you set 3 years ago, the creature says. It almost broke the seal. The heat cracked the rock that holds the door closed. If your friends hadn't died where they did, if their blood hadn't soaked into that exact spot, the seal would have broken completely. What are you saying? I whisper. Your friends didn't die for nothing, Mike. They died as heroes. Their sacrifice fixed what your mistake almost broke. Their blood made the seal stronger than ever. I fall to my knees. But I killed them. I made the wrong choice. Yes, you did, the creature says. But sometimes, wrong choices lead to right results. Sometimes heroes are made by accident. The blue light from the tree gets dimmer. The creature's yellow eyes glow brighter. I'm old, Mike. 300 years of guarding this place. 300 years of killing people to save the world. I'm tired, and I'm dying. What does that have to do with me? I need someone to take my place, the creature says. Someone who understands sacrifice. Someone who knows what it costs to make hard choices. Someone who has already lost everything that matters. I stare at this impossible thing. You want me to become like you? Not like me, it says. You would become me. The forest would change you. Give you the strength to do what needs to be done. Give you the time to do it, for as long as necessary. And if I say no? The creature stands up. Its wings spread wide, blocking out the glowing tree behind it. Then I die, and the seal breaks, and everything your friends died to protect comes crawling out of that hole. Millions of people die. Maybe everyone dies. I think about Tommy Martinez, about how he covered Jimmy Santos with his own body when the fire came, about how he died protecting someone else. How do I know you're telling the truth? I ask. The creature touches the ground with one hoof. The earth cracks open, just a little. Blue light pours out of the crack, and with it comes a smell like rotting meat and burning sulfur. Something screams from down in that crack, something that sounds hungry and angry and very much alive. The creature closed the crack with another touch of its hoof. That's how you know, it says. I look at this monster that might not be a monster, this devil that might be an angel, this thing that's asking me to give up my humanity to save the world. If I do this, I say, will the voices stop? No, the creature says. They'll get louder. You'll hear everyone you have to kill. You'll carry their voices forever, just like you carry your friends' voices now. Then why would I agree? The creature smiles, showing those sharp teeth. Because your friends' voices won't be asking why you let them die anymore. They'll be thanking you for making their sacrifice mean something. I close my eyes and listen to the wind in the trees. I think about Tommy and Danny and Jimmy and Carlos and Alex. I think about their families. I think about the baby daughter Jimmy never got to see grow up. I think about all the other families who will lose people if I walk away. When I open my eyes, I know what I have to do. My name is Billy Joe Watson, and I'm a park ranger in the Boggy Creek area of Arkansas. I'm 39 years old, and I've been protecting these swamps for most of my life. But when I say protecting, I don't mean what you think I mean. The sun is going down now, painting the water orange and red. I'm standing on the wooden dock, watching the cypress trees rise up from the dark water like giant fingers reaching for the sky. Spanish moss hangs from their branches like old curtains that nobody ever takes down. The air is thick and wet, the kind that sticks to your skin and makes you feel like you're breathing soup. This place is beautiful, but it's also heavy. Heavy with secrets, heavy with old promises that my family made a long time ago. My grandfather was Cherokee. He taught me that this swampland isn't just water and trees. It's sacred ground. There are burial sites here, places where our ancestors rest, places that need to be protected from people who don't understand what they're walking on. When I was a boy, my grandfather would bring me out here. He'd point to certain spots in the water and tell me stories. Stories about the old days, when his people lived here before the white settlers came. He told me about promises made to the spirits, about keeping the dead safe so they could sleep in peace. I thought they were just stories back then. The bullfrogs are starting their night songs now, deep, loud croaks that echo across the water. My grandfather taught me that if you listen close enough, you can understand what they're saying. They're calling to the spirits, letting them know that someone is watching over their resting place. But lately, those calls sound different to me. They sound angry. 3 hunters went missing in this area last week. That's why I'm out here tonight, pretending to look for them. The sheriff's department called me because I know these swamps better than anyone. They want me to help find these men. The thing is, I already know where they are. I know exactly what happened to them, and I know it's my fault. In my cabin, hidden under a loose floorboard, there's a notebook. It's old and worn, and inside it, I've written down names. 47 names of people who came to me over the years. People who were looking for something, forgiveness maybe, or peace. People who had done bad things and couldn't live with themselves anymore. I helped them find what they were looking for, but not in the way they expected. When I was 21, my grandfather was dying. He called me to his bedside and grabbed my hand with fingers that felt like old tree bark. His eyes were cloudy, but they burned with something I'd never seen before. "Billy Joe," he whispered, "our family has a job to do. We made a promise to protect the sacred places, the burial grounds where our people rest. You understand?" I nodded, even though I didn't really understand anything. "There's a guardian," he said, "something that watches over the dead. But it needs help sometimes. It needs someone to bring it the right people. People who carry heavy guilt. People whose spirits are already dark." His grip got tighter on my hand. "This job will eat at you, boy. But if we don't do it, worse things will happen. The dead won't rest and the living won't be safe. Do you promise me? Do you promise to keep the sacred ground protected?" I was young and scared and watching my grandfather die. Of course, I promised. I just didn't know what that promise would cost me. 20 years later, I'm still keeping it. But every name in that notebook feels like a stone in my chest. Every person I've let out here. Every person I've delivered to what waits in the sacred burial ground. They all weigh on me. My wife Sarah used to ask me why I looked so tired all the time. Why I had nightmares. Why I would disappear into the swamp for hours and come back looking like I'd seen a ghost. She stopped asking questions 2 years ago. She stopped asking anything at all. Because she's dead now too. The water is getting darker as the sun disappears completely. Soon, the alligators will start moving. Their eyes glowing like little lights in the black water. And something else will start moving too. Something bigger. Something that's been waiting for me to bring it what it needs. I know I should feel bad about what I do. I know I should stop. But every time I think about breaking my promise to grandfather, I hear his voice in the wind. I hear him telling me about the sacred places, about keeping our people's dead safe. The problem is, I'm starting to wonder if I'm really protecting anyone, or if I'm just feeding something that should have died a long time ago. Tonight, I'm going to find out. The 3 hunters who went missing weren't just any hunters. Their names were Mike, Tony, and Jesse. I knew all about them before they ever set foot in my swamp. Mike had been drinking and driving for years. Last Christmas, he hit a family's car. A little girl died. He got away with it because his lawyer was good and the evidence wasn't perfect. But Mike knew what he did. He couldn't sleep at night. Couldn't look at his own kids without seeing that little girl's face. Tony used to beat his wife, not just once or twice, but for 10 years. She finally left him and took their son. Tony was alone now, drinking every night, calling her and begging her to come back. But she was scared of him. She had good reason to be. Jesse was the worst of the 3. He hurt children. I won't say how, but he hurt them bad. The police could never prove it, but everyone in town knew. Parents would cross the street when they saw him coming. These men came to me separately over the past month. They all said the same thing. They'd heard I knew about spiritual cleansing, about old Cherokee ways to clean the guilt from a person's soul. Word gets around in small towns, especially when people are desperate. I told them I could help. I told them there was a sacred place in the swamp where they could find peace, where the spirits of my ancestors would wash away their sins if they were truly sorry. They believed me because they wanted to believe. People with heavy guilt will grab onto any hope, no matter how strange it sounds. I'd been doing this for 20 years now, ever since my grandfather died and left me with this job. At first, I thought I was helping people find real peace. I thought the old Cherokee spirits would somehow make things right. But that's not what happens in the sacred burial ground. Not at all. My wife Sarah figured it out 2 years ago. I came home one night, muddy and tired, and she was sitting at the kitchen table with my notebook in her hands. She'd found my hiding place. She'd read all 45 names that were written down by then. Billy Joe, she said, and her voice was shaking. What is this? What are these names? I couldn't lie to her anymore. I was tired of lying, so I told her everything. About grandfather's promise, about the people I brought to the swamp, about what lived in the sacred burial ground and what it did to the guilty souls I'd delivered. She stared at me like she'd never seen me before. You're killing people, she whispered. No, I said. I'm not killing anyone. I'm just guiding them. They make their own choice to go into the sacred place. But even as I said it, I knew it wasn't true. I knew exactly what would happen to anyone I brought there. I'd seen it happen 45 times. Sarah stood up from the table. She was crying now. I'm going to tell someone, she said. I'm going to call the police. This has to stop. I begged her not to. I tried to explain about the sacred places, about keeping the dead safe, about the promise I made to my dying grandfather. But she wouldn't listen. That night, Sarah packed a bag. She said she was going to her sister's house in Little Rock. She said she needed time to think about what to do. She never made it to her sister's house. They found her car wrapped around a tree on Highway 71. The police said she must have been driving too fast, maybe fell asleep at the wheel. These things happened, they said. Sad accident. But I knew better. I knew that some promises are bigger than one person, bigger than one marriage, bigger than one life. The thing that lives in the sacred burial ground, it doesn't just wait for me to bring it guilty people. It protects itself, too. It protects the secret. After Sarah died, I wanted to stop. I wanted to break my promise to grandfather and just be a normal park ranger. But every time I tried, something would happen. I'd get sick. My truck would break down in dangerous places. I'd have dreams where grandfather's spirit would visit me, disappointed and angry. The worst part was, people kept coming to me anyway. Word had spread somehow. People with dark secrets. People who couldn't live with what they'd done. They found their way to Billy Joe Watson, the Cherokee Ranger who knew about spiritual cleansing. Like Mike, Tony, and Jesse, I met with each of them at my ranger station. I listened to their stories. I saw the pain in their eyes, the desperate need for forgiveness. And I told them the same thing I always tell people like them. There's a place in the swamp, I said, a sacred place where my people's spirits rest. If you go there with a pure heart, if you're truly sorry for what you've done, they might help you find peace. I drew them maps. I told them to go at sunset when the spirits are most active. I told them to bring tobacco as an offering and to speak their sins out loud when they reached the sacred ground. What I didn't tell them was that something else lives there now, something that was made by Cherokee shamans long ago to guard the burial sites, something that feeds on guilt and grows stronger with every soul it takes. Each of those 3 men went into the swamp 2 weeks ago. None of them came out, and now I have to pretend to look for them. I have to play the concerned ranger, searching for missing people, when I know exactly where they are and what happened to them. Tonight, I'm going back to that place, back to the sacred burial ground where my ancestors rest and where something else waits in the darkness. I need to see what's left of Mike, Tony, and Jesse. I need to add their names to my notebook. Most of all, I need to look that thing in the eyes and ask it a question that's been eating at me for 20 years. Am I protecting the sacred ground, or am I just feeding a monster? The water around my boat is perfectly still now. No wind, no ripples, just black water, reflecting the stars like scattered diamonds. But I know this quiet won't last long, because I can already smell it in the air. That thick, wild smell that means I'm getting close to the sacred place. That means something old and hungry is waiting for me. My boat slides through the water without making a sound. I've been coming to this part of the swamp for so long that I could find it with my eyes closed. The cypress trees get bigger here, older. Their roots twist up from the water like arms reaching for help. This is where the sacred burial ground begins. I tie my boat to a fallen log and step onto the muddy bank. My flashlight cuts through the darkness, but it doesn't help much. The light seems to get swallowed up by the Spanish moss and thick air. I know where to look. I always know where to look. The first thing I see are the bones. They're arranged in a pattern on a small patch of dry ground between the trees. Not scattered like you'd expect from wild animals. Arranged. On purpose. The way my grandfather taught me, Cherokee people used to honor their dead. Mike's wallet is sitting next to the bones. His driver's license still has his picture on it, but his face looks different now. Peaceful, maybe. Or empty. I find Tony's remains about 20 feet away. Same thing. Bones laid out in a pattern, with his truck keys placed carefully beside them, like someone was showing respect. Jesse's bones are the furthest from the water. Even in death, it seems like he was trying to run. But it's not the bones that make my skin crawl. It's the other things I see. Handprints in the mud. Huge handprints. Bigger than any human could make. The fingers are long and end in what look like claws. They're everywhere, pressed deep into the soft ground around each set of remains. And the smell, that thick, wild smell, is stronger here. It's not just animal musk. There's something else mixed in. Something that reminds me of the sage my grandfather used to burn during his prayers. And underneath that, the smell of old blood. I kneel down next to Mike's bones and take out my notebook. I write down his name carefully, making it number 48 on my list. Then Tony, number 49. Then Jesse, number 50. 50 people I've brought to this place. 50 people who never went home. That's when I hear it. My radio crackles to life, even though I didn't turn it on. Static fills the air, and then, through the noise, I hear a voice. It's speaking Cherokee. Words I learned from my grandfather when I was young. Words I haven't heard in 20 years. The voice is praying, and it sounds exactly like my grandfather. Comes the radio, and it hits the mud with a splash. But the voice keeps coming, not from the radio anymore, from the trees around me, from the water, from the air itself. My grandfather's voice, speaking the old prayers for the dead. I stand up slowly and turn in a circle, trying to see where the sound is coming from. That's when I notice something else. The handprints in the mud aren't random. They make a circle around the entire burial area, like something was walking in a pattern, over and over, guarding this place, and the bones. Now that I look closer, I can see they're not just arranged in Cherokee burial patterns. They're arranged to form a bigger pattern, all of them together, like they're part of something larger, like they're creating something. I take a step back and try to see the whole picture. Mike's bones here, Tony's there, Jesse's over by the water, and between them, other bone patterns that must be from people I brought here months ago, years ago. They're all connected, all part of one giant design pressed into the sacred ground. That's when I understand what I'm really looking at. This isn't just a burial ground anymore. It's not just a place where my ancestors rest. It's a trap. A spiritual trap that gets stronger every time I bring someone here. Every guilty person I've delivered to this place, their death has made the trap bigger. Their bones have become part of it. Their spirits have been caught by it. The trap to do what? The Cherokee word stops suddenly. The swamp goes completely quiet. No frogs, no insects, no water lapping against the trees. Nothing. That's when I see the eyes. 2 yellow lights watching me from the darkness between the cypress trees. They're about 8 feet off the ground, which means whatever's looking at me is huge. I don't move. I don't breathe. I just stare back at those eyes and wait. Slowly, very slowly, something steps out from behind the trees. It's bigger than I expected, covered in dark fur that hangs down like Spanish moss. Its arms are long and muscled, ending in those clawed hands that made the prints in the mud. Its face is almost human, but older, ancient, like it's been alive for a very long time. But it's the eyes that make me freeze. They're not animal eyes. They're intelligent, knowing, like they can see right through me, to all the things I've done. The creature takes another step toward me, and when it moves, I can see it's not just big, it's careful, like it doesn't want to disturb the bone patterns on the ground, like it respects what's buried here. That's when I realize what I'm looking at. This is the guardian my grandfather told me about, the thing that protects the sacred burial ground, the thing I've been feeding for 20 years. But looking at it now, seeing how it moves with respect around the bones, seeing the intelligence in its eyes, I understand something else. This thing isn't just protecting the burial ground. It's been collecting souls. Every person I brought here, every guilty spirit that died in this place, they're all still here, trapped in the patterns made by their own bones, held by the guardian to make the sacred ground stronger. And I've been helping it do this for 20 years. The creature looks at me for a long moment. Then it opens its mouth and speaks. Not in English, in Cherokee, in my grandfather's voice. Billy Joe, it says, and hearing my name spoken by this thing makes my blood turn cold. It's time. I can't move. I can't speak. All I can do is stare at this massive creature that knows my name and sounds like my dead grandfather. The guardian takes another step closer. Up close, I can see scars on its fur. Old wounds that look like they came from knives or axes. This thing has been fighting people for a long time. You're scared, it says in my grandfather's voice. Good. Fear keeps you honest. I find my voice, though it comes out as barely a whisper. What are you? The creature tilts its head, studying me. When it moves, I catch that smell again. Wild animal mixed with sage and old blood. I am what your grandfather made me, it says. I am what the Cherokee shamans created when the white men came to steal our dead. It gestures with one clawed hand toward the bone patterns around us. Do you know what they did, Billy Joe? The settlers? They dug up our burial grounds looking for gold. They scattered the bones of our ancestors like trash. They built their farms and houses on top of sacred graves. The creature's voice gets deeper, angrier. Well, the shamans made something to guard what was left. They took their rage, their need to protect the dead, and they gave it form. They made me. I look around at all the bones arranged in patterns, at the handprints in the mud, at this ancient thing standing in front of me. But you're not just guarding, I say. You're killing people. You're taking their souls. The guardian nods slowly. Yes, because every soul I take makes the sacred ground stronger. Every death adds power to the protection around our ancestors' graves. The guilty spirits become part of the barrier that keeps this place safe. It moves closer, and I can see my own reflection in its yellow eyes. Your grandfather understood this. When he was young, he saw what I was doing and knew it was necessary, so he made a deal with me. What kind of deal? His family would help me choose the right people, people whose guilt made their spirits heavy, people whose deaths would feed the sacred ground without taking innocent lives. The creature reaches out with one massive hand and touches my shoulder. Its claws are sharp, but it's gentle, like my grandfather used to be when he was teaching me something important. Your grandfather served me for 40 years, Billy Joe. He brought me over 200 guilty souls, murderers, rapists, people who hurt children, people the law couldn't touch. 200 people. I thought my 50 was bad, but grandfather had been doing this much longer than I knew. What happened to him? How did he die? The guardian's grip on my shoulder tightens slightly. He didn't die, Billy Joe. Not the way you think. The world seems to tilt around me. The trees, the water, everything feels unsteady. What do you mean? When your grandfather got old, when his body was failing, I offered him a choice. He could die and leave this work to you, carrying the guilt of what we'd done together. Or he could become part of me, join his spirit to mine, and help guard the sacred places forever. I staggered backward, pulling away from the creature's touch. You're saying my grandfather is inside you? Not inside. Part of. We are one guardian now, made from Cherokee rage and your grandfather's sacrifice. The creature's voice changes slightly, becomes more familiar. Hello, Billy Joe. It's definitely my grandfather's voice now. The same voice that taught me about the swamp, about respecting the dead, about keeping promises. Grandfather, I'm here, boy. I've been watching you all these years, watching you struggle with what I asked you to do. Tears start running down my face before I can stop them. I killed all those people, 50 people, grandfather. And Sarah? Sarah died because of what I was doing. Sarah died because she would have destroyed everything we've built here. The protection around the sacred ground, the barrier that keeps our ancestors safe. Sometimes the work requires hard choices. I shake my head. No, she died because I was a coward, because I couldn't stop doing what you asked me to do. The creature moves closer again. When it speaks, it's both voices now, my grandfather's and something older, wilder. You think you've been serving me, Billy Joe, but that's not the whole truth. What do you mean? Look around you. Look at the patterns made by the bones. Look at how the sacred ground has grown over the years. I turn in a slow circle, really looking at the bone arrangements for the first time. They don't just form one big pattern. They form several patterns, all connected, spreading out from where we're standing. Every person you brought me didn't just strengthen the protection around existing graves, the creature says. Their deaths created new sacred ground. Every soul I took expanded the area under Cherokee protection. The truth hits me like a physical blow. You're not just protecting our ancestors' burial sites. You're making new ones. Yes. And when this swamp is entirely sacred ground, when every acre is protected by the spirits of the guilty dead, then we move to the next area, and the next. The creature spreads its arms wide, gesturing to the dark water and endless trees around us. All of this was stolen from our people, Billy Joe. Every farm, every town, every road built on Cherokee land. We're taking it back, one death at a time, one guilty soul at a time. I feel sick. Everything I thought I knew about what I was doing, about protecting the dead, about honoring my grandfather's promise, it was all a lie. How much land? I ask. How much are you planning to take back? The creature's yellow eyes gleam in the darkness. All of it. That's when I understand. The Guardian isn't just protecting Cherokee burial grounds. It's creating them. It's using the deaths of guilty people to claim more and more land as sacred ground. And I've been helping it do this for 20 years. Your time as my helper is ending, Billy Joe, the creature says. You're getting old. The work is wearing on you. It's time to choose. Choose what? You can find someone else to take your place. Another Cherokee descendant who will help me choose the guilty and bring them here. You can pass on the burden and try to find peace. The creature leans closer, its breath hot on my face. Or you can join me, like your grandfather did. Become part of the Guardian. Help protect the sacred ground forever, with strength that will never fail and purpose that will never waver. I look around at the bones scattered in their careful patterns, at the evidence of 50 murders I helped commit, at this ancient thing that wears my grandfather's voice like a mask. What happens if I say no? What happens if I just walk away? The creature's expression doesn't change, but somehow I can feel its disappointment. Then someone else will take your place. The work will continue. The sacred ground will keep growing. It pauses, letting that sink in. But you'll live with the knowledge of what you've done. 50 deaths on your conscience, with no greater purpose to justify them. No sacred duty to make the guilt bearable. The choice is simple, but it's the hardest thing I've ever faced. Become a monster to serve what I thought was a righteous cause. Or stay human and live with the knowledge that I helped a monster for 20 years. My name is Paul Anderson, and I'm the worst father you'll ever meet. I used to be a cop in Milwaukee. Had a wife named Sarah and a little girl named Lucy who was 7 years old with blonde pigtails and the biggest smile in the world. She used to run to me when I came home from work, wrapping her tiny arms around my legs like I was some kind of hero. I wasn't a hero, I was a monster. The first time I hit Sarah was after a really bad day at work. Some punk kid had spit in my face, and I came home angry. Sarah asked me to take out the trash, and I just snapped. My hand moved before my brain could stop it. The sound of my palm hitting her cheek was so loud that Lucy started crying from upstairs. Sarah forgave me that time, said everyone makes mistakes. But it wasn't a mistake. It was who I really was inside. The drinking made it worse. Every night I'd sit in my chair with a beer, then another, then another. The angrier I got, the more I drank. The more I drank, the angrier I got. It was like a wheel that never stopped spinning. Lucy started hiding when I came home. My own daughter was scared of me. Can you imagine that? The person who's supposed to protect you is the one you run from. The last time I saw Lucy, I had just threatened Sarah's new boyfriend with my gun. I was drunk and stupid and so full of rage I couldn't see straight. Lucy was watching from behind the couch, her blue eyes wide with fear. She looked at me like I was the boogeyman from her nightmares. The judge took her away from me after that, said I was dangerous and unstable. He was right. So here I am now, 3 months later, working as a ranger in Kettle Moraine State Forest in Wisconsin. It's just me, the trees, and about 1,000 acres of nothing. I thought being alone would help me get better. I thought maybe if I stayed away from people, I couldn't hurt anyone else. The forest is quiet in a way that makes your ears ring. Rolling hills stretch out like green waves. And there's a little stream that gurgles, like Lucy used to when she was a baby. Sometimes I see chipmunks playing in the fallen leaves, and it reminds me of how Lucy used to make leaf piles in our backyard. I have a small cabin with 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, and a kitchen that's too big for just me. On my refrigerator, there's one thing, a drawing Lucy made of our family, 3 stick figures holding hands under a yellow sun. She wrote "My family" in purple crayon at the top. Every night, I stare at that drawing and drink beer until I can't think anymore. I talk to Lucy's photo on my nightstand, promising I'll become the kind of dad she deserves. But deep down, I know it's probably too late. Today started like any other day. Gray clouds rolling in, the smell of wet earth in the air, and me walking the trails alone. But something felt different, wrong, like the forest was holding its breath, waiting for something bad to happen. I had no idea how right I was. The call came in around noon on my radio. Static filled my cabin before the voice came through. Clear. "Paul, we got a problem. 2 hunters didn't come back yesterday. Names are Mike Chen and Tom Bradley. They were supposed to check in at sunset." I grabbed my jacket and headed out. Missing hikers happen sometimes. People get lost, hurt their ankle, or just lose track of time. Usually they turn up tired and embarrassed, but this felt different. I found their campsite first. Everything was still there: tent, sleeping bags, cooler full of food. Their truck sat parked where they left it, keys still in the cup holder. Nobody just walks away from thousands of dollars of gear. The trail they took led deeper into the forest than most people go. I followed their footprints in the mud for about a mile before I found the first sign of trouble. Blood. A lot of it. It wasn't human blood, though. Too dark, too thick. Something big had died here. I followed the blood trail and found what was left of a deer about 50 yards away. But this wasn't killed by any hunter. The deer was torn apart like someone had used their bare hands. Chunks of meat scattered everywhere. Ribs cracked open like someone was looking for something inside. The head was missing completely. My police training kicked in. I started looking for clues, the way I used to at crime scenes. That's when I saw the claw marks on the nearby trees. 4 deep scratches going straight down the bark, about 8 feet high. No bear makes marks like that. Too clean, too precise. Almost like someone with really long fingernails had dragged them down the tree trunk. The smell hit me next. Heavy and thick, like wet dog mixed with something rotten. It made my stomach turn, but there was something else about it. Something that made the hair on my arms stand up. I kept following the trail. More blood drops, more claw marks, and footprints that didn't make sense. They started out looking human, but they got bigger and stranger the deeper I went. The toes were too long, and there were what looked like claw marks in front of each print. That's when I heard it. A howl, long and low, coming from somewhere ahead of me. It didn't sound like any wolf I'd ever heard. It was too deep, too sad, like something crying. For just a second it sounded like Lucy crying after I'd scared her. I shook my head. I was being stupid. Stress and guilt were making me hear things that weren't there. But then the howl came again, and this time it was closer. I reached for my radio to call for backup, but all I got was static. Then, through the white noise, I heard something that made my blood freeze. "Daddy?" Lucy's voice, small and scared, coming through my radio. "Daddy, where are you?" I'm scared. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped the radio. This was impossible. Lucy was 300 miles away with her mother. There was no way her voice could be coming through my radio. "Lucy?" I whispered into the radio. "Baby, is that you?" But the only answer was static. Then another howl, much closer than before. I realized something then. The forest had gone completely quiet. No birds singing, no insects buzzing, no wind in the trees. Just silence so thick it felt like it was pressing down on me. Something was watching me. I could feel eyes on my back, following my every move. I turned around slowly, my hand moving to the gun on my belt. The forest looked empty, but I knew I wasn't alone. That's when I found the second campsite. This campsite was older, maybe a week old. The tent was ripped open from the outside, long tears in the fabric like something with claws had slashed through it. Sleeping bags were scattered around, covered in that same dark blood I'd seen before. I found a wallet in the dirt. The driver's license belonged to someone named Jake Morrison. The photo showed a man about my age, with a wedding ring and a smile that looked just like mine used to, before I ruined everything. There was something else in the wallet, a folded piece of paper, yellow and worn from being handled too much. I opened it carefully. It was a letter from a little girl. The handwriting was shaky and young. "Dear Daddy, I miss you. Mommy says you can't come home because you get too angry. I still love you. Please come back when you're not angry anymore. Love, Emma." My hand started shaking again. This Jake guy had lost his family too, just like me. I kept searching and found more wallets, 5 in total, all men between 30 and 40, all with photos of kids and wives, all with letters or drawings from children who missed their daddies. The radio crackled again. "Daddy, why did you hurt Mommy?" Lucy's voice clear as day, but this time I was ready for it. "You're not Lucy," I said into the radio. "Lucy's safe at home with her mother." Silence. Then a different voice came through, deeper, rougher, but still sounding like a child. "She's scared of you, Paul. She has nightmares about you." This voice I didn't recognize, but it made my skin crawl. "Who is this?" I demanded. "She draws pictures of monsters now instead of families. The monsters all look like you." I turned off the radio and threw it in my pack. This was someone playing games with me. Had to be. Maybe the missing hunters were all part of some sick joke. But deep down, I knew that wasn't true. I found the trail again and kept following it. The footprints were getting bigger and clearer. They definitely weren't human anymore. Whatever was making them walked on 2 legs, but had feet like a wolf. The claw marks on trees were getting more frequent too, and higher up. Sometimes 12 feet off the ground. That's when I noticed something else. The prints were following a pattern. They'd circle around areas where the missing men had camped, like something had been watching them for days before attacking. Just like something was watching me now. I could feel it behind me as I walked. When I stopped, it stopped. When I moved, it moved. I tried turning around quickly a few times, but I never saw anything. Just trees and shadows, and that feeling of being hunted. The trail led to a clearing I'd never seen before, even though I'd been working this forest for 3 months. In the center was a circle of stones, with something dark stained on them. The smell here was so strong it made me gag. That's where I found the bones, human bones, scattered around the stone circle like leftovers from a meal. Some still had meat on them. I counted at least 3 different people, maybe more. My police training told me to call this in, get backup, treat it like a crime scene. But my radio was still getting nothing but static and strange voices. As on my own, the sun was getting low in the sky. In another hour it would be dark, and I was miles from my cabin. I should have turned around right then and gotten out of there. Instead, I heard something that made me stay. Crying. Someone was crying in the woods nearby. It sounded like a child. It sounded like Lucy. "Hello?" I called out. "Is someone there? Are you hurt?" The crying got louder. It was coming from deeper in the forest, past the bone circle, into parts of the woods where the trees grew so thick you couldn't see the sky. Every instinct I had told me not to follow that sound. It was a trap. It had to be. But what if it wasn't? What if some kid was really lost out here, scared and alone, while something terrible hunted through these woods? Couldn't live with myself if I walked away and something happened to a child. I'd already failed Lucy. I couldn't fail another kid. So I followed the crying deeper into the forest. The trees got thicker and the shadows got darker. The crying stayed just ahead of me, always just out of sight. Sometimes it sounded like Lucy. Sometimes it sounded like other children, boys and girls I didn't know. "I'm coming," I called out. "Stay where you are. I'm here to help." But the crying just kept moving away from me, leading me deeper and deeper into the woods. That's when I realized what was happening. I wasn't following the sound. The sound was leading me, and I was walking right into a trap. I stopped walking and pulled out my gun. The crying had stopped too, like whatever was making the sound knew I'd figured it out. The forest was completely silent again. Not even the wind was blowing. I could hear my own heart beating in my ears. "I know you're there," I said to the darkness between the trees. "Come out and face me." Something moved in the shadows ahead. At first I thought it was just another tree, but then it stepped forward into a patch of moonlight. It was huge, at least 8 feet tall and covered in dark fur. It walked on 2 legs like a man, but its arms hung down almost to the ground. Its face was a mix of human and wolf, with yellow eyes that seemed to glow in the dark. But the worst part was its eyes. They looked at me like they knew me, like they understood exactly who I was and what I'd done. "Paul," it said in a voice that sounded like rocks grinding together, "I've been waiting for you." "What are you?" I asked, keeping my gun pointed at its chest. "I'm what you're going to become," it said. "What you've always been inside." The creature stepped closer. It didn't seem afraid of my gun at all. "You think you're different from the others," it continued. "Jake Morrison thought that too. So did Mike Chen. So did Tom Bradley. All the others thought they were good men who just made mistakes. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't you?" The thing smiled, showing teeth like broken glass. "You hit your wife. You scared your daughter. You threatened people with your gun, just like all the others. It was right, and I hated that it was right. I came here to get better," I said, "to learn how to control my anger." The creature laughed. It sounded like Lucy crying. "You can't control what you are, Paul. You're a predator, a hunter. That's why your family left you. They could smell it on you. That's not true. Lucy will never feel safe around men because of you. She'll spend her whole life afraid that every man she meets might be like her father." Those words hit me harder than any punch ever could, because deep down, I knew they might be true. "But it doesn't have to be a bad thing," the creature said, its voice getting softer. "Being a hunter, I mean. Out here, there's no one to judge you. No laws, no courts, no ex-wives telling you you're a monster." Gestured with one massive arm toward the dark forest around us. "Out here, being strong and angry and dangerous makes you the leader. The others follow me because I'm the strongest. Because I'm not afraid to do what needs to be done." "The others?" "The pack," it said. "Jake Morrison leads the hunt now. Mike Chen guards our territory. Tom Bradley brings us food. All the men who were rejected by their families have found a new family here." Through the trees I could see shapes moving, other figures just as big and dark as the one in front of me, the missing hunters, but changed into something else. "We don't have to pretend to be gentle," the creature continued. "We don't have to say we're sorry for being what we are. We just hunt and kill and live free. You're monsters, but so are you, Paul. The only difference is we stopped pretending we weren't." The thing stepped even closer. I could smell its breath, like meat and blood and something rotten. "Your daughter drew a picture of you as a monster, didn't she? Maybe she was right. Maybe instead of fighting it, you should embrace it." I thought about Lucy's drawing on my refrigerator. 3 stick figures under a yellow sun. A happy family that I'd destroyed with my own hands. "Join us, Paul," the creature whispered. "Stop trying to be something you're not. Stop trying to earn back love from people who will never trust you again. Be what you were born to be." For just a moment, I almost said yes. It would be so easy. No more guilt. No more trying to become a better man. No more lying awake at night thinking about how I'd ruined everything. Just hunt and kill and never have to feel sorry again. "What do you say, Paul?" the creature asked. "Ready to stop pretending?" I looked at the monster in front of me. I looked at the shapes moving in the darkness, the men who had given up on ever being human again. Then I thought about Lucy, not the scared little girl who hid from me, but the happy child who used to run to me when I came home, the daughter who drew pictures of our family and wrote, "My family," in purple crayon. "No," I said, raising my gun. "I'm not like you." The creature's yellow eyes flashed with anger. "Then you'll die like the others who refused," it growled. Anna charged. I fired 3 shots into its chest before it reached me. The bullets hit, but they barely slowed it down. It slammed into me like a truck, and we both went down hard. His claws raked across my chest, tearing through my jacket and into my skin. I rolled away and fired 2 more shots. This time, I aimed for its head. The creature roared and stumbled back. Black blood poured from a wound above its left eye. "You can't kill me, Paul," it snarled. "I'm already dead. I'm what's left when everything human gets stripped away." It lunged at me again. I dodged to the side, but not fast enough. Its claws caught my shoulder, spinning me around. I felt something tear inside my chest. I was hurt bad, but I kept fighting. My police training kicked in. Stay moving. Keep shooting. Don't let it pin you down. But the creature was faster and stronger than anything I'd ever fought, and I could hear the others coming through the trees. The pack was closing in. "Why do you fight so hard?" the creature asked as we circled each other. "Your family doesn't want you back. Nobody cares if you live or die." "Lucy cares," I said, breathing hard. "Lucy is afraid of you. She's afraid of who I was, not who I can become." I fired my last 2 bullets. Both hit the creature in the chest. It staggered, but didn't go down. My gun was empty. The other pack members were almost here. I was bleeding and tired, and probably going to die. But I wasn't going to give up. I pulled out my knife and charged at the creature. It was surprised, probably thought I'd try to run. The blade went deep into its stomach, all the way to the handle. The creature screamed and grabbed me with both hands. Its claws dug into my back, but I held on and twisted the knife. "If I die," I whispered, "I'd die fighting monsters, not being one." Something changed in the creature's yellow eyes. For just a second, they looked human again, sad and tired and full of regret. "I had a daughter too," it whispered. "Her name was Emma." Then it fell on top of me, and everything went black. When I woke up, it was morning. The creature was dead beside me, already starting to turn back into something that looked like a man, an older man with gray hair, and Emma's letter still in his shirt pocket. I was hurt worse than I thought. There was blood everywhere, and I could barely move. Something was broken inside me. I wasn't going to make it back to my cabin, but I felt different, lighter somehow, like a weight I'd been carrying for months had finally been lifted off my shoulders. I'd faced the worst part of myself and chosen to fight it instead of join it. That had to count for something. As I lay there dying, I felt something strange happening to my body. My hands were getting bigger. My teeth felt sharp in my mouth. The creature's blood was mixing with mine, and I was changing into something else. But it was different than what happened to the others. I wasn't becoming a monster. I was becoming something that hunted monsters. The pack leader was dead, and now there was a new leader, me. But instead of leading them to hunt innocent people, I was going to lead them away from anyone who might get hurt, keep them deep in the forest, where they couldn't harm families like mine. I thought about Lucy one last time before the change took hold completely. In a few years, she'd be old enough to come camping with friends, to walk in forests like this one. She'd never know that her father was out there in the dark, keeping her safe from things that go bump in the night. She'd never know that the monster she used to be afraid of had learned how to fight other monsters. Maybe that was enough. Maybe being the protector she never knew she had was better than being the father she couldn't trust. I closed my eyes and let the change happen. Somewhere in the distance, I could hear children laughing and playing, safe in their homes, because the things that hunted in the dark were under new management. And for the first time in years, that was enough to make me smile. If you're ever hiking alone in Kettle Moraine State Forest and you hear something howling in the woods, don't be afraid. That's just Paul Anderson, keeping the real monsters away from you and your family. He's still out there, still protecting people, still being the father he always should have been. Just in a way nobody will ever know.